Hi, this is Professor Tsuhlares here at West Liberty University. We're going to be trimming a couple of items. I want to trim a bowl, and when I trim bowls, I use this carpet pad, just some remnant carpet pad, and I can put the bowl down on top of that. And the bowl's wide enough that I don't have to fix the bowl on the wheel. It'll be stable enough. And I just center the bowl on the wheel like this, and I use this cap to put some downward pressure on it once I get it centered, and then I have my trimming tool. So let's get the bowl centered first. Now I'm going to tap on center. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can actually kind of hunt and peck. You can put your finger there, and wherever it touches, you move it. Another thing you can practice, you just kind of give it a little tap until it goes on center. And I'm not timing my taps. It just tends to, I think it just goes on center naturally, just the fact that it's spinning. So I'll put the cap on, I'll center that also. Put a little water in the cap so I can lubricate my finger. Now what I want to do, what I'm conscious of here, is this outside shape of the bowl. The outside shape and the inside shape are pretty uniform. But I want to take off the excess clay and really make sure that this form works, the form on the bowl works. So I need to eliminate some of this clay. And now, as I trim the bowl, I want to trim it so that it all kind of converges to this point. So the form has converged to this point right here. This way, I'm going to cut into this and actually create a pedestal for the bowl to sit on. And you'll see what I mean. I kind of cut this into here, and then I'll cut into it even some more, so that the bowl actually can form nicely, but I've actually undercut it even a little bit more so that it actually does this. It hits the pedestal. Now the pedestal doesn't go right down to the tabletop. The pedestal is at a little 45-degree angle, and that gives the bowl a little bit of visual lift. If you were looking at this bowl sitting on a tabletop, there would be a little bit of light coming from around the bottom. Now I'm going to use my finger to kind of smooth out all the lines that I made here. Make things nice and smooth. I want to make sure I smooth out the bottom. And I want to put a little dent in the bottom here, because this bottom part is the last part to dry. The bowl will dry from the top down. This is the last part to dry. And sometimes if it's straight, it could belly out like this, and it'll be a spinner. It won't sit flat on a tabletop. So you can see the form of the bowl. And I'll just put a...
You want to hold that up one more time?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just put my signature on it. Okay, we have a trimmed bowl. Now I'm going to trim a mug. So I can get rid of my carpet remnant. And I have to put the mug down on the wheel itself here. And I'm going to have to use some little lugs of clay to help me get this centered. Now I just want to center this bottom part. The top might look a little off center, but I just want to center this right here. This is what I'm looking at. And you can see that the top is a little bit off. That's okay. Now when I push these lugs, I don't want to push them in. I want to push them down, and let the squeeze out kind of push in and hold the cup in, the mug in place here. Once again, I use this top to put some finger pressure on it. I'm going to use the trimming tool. Now I want to get rid of any excess clay here on the bottom, not that much, and then I want to undercut the mug a little bit to give it some visual lift. Okay, now once we have that, then I use my finger to just kind of smooth all the trimming out. We don't want any sharp edges. We want to smooth out all the sharp edges. We want to put a little dent in the bottom here. Make sure there's no sharp things sticking out of the clay. We want to push them back into the clay so we have a nice smooth bottom so it won't scratch a tabletop. And voila, we have a trimmed mug. Now I'm going to put a handle on this mug. So I've taken a little coil of clay, like this. Kind of looks kind of like a fat carrot. And I'm going to press on the part that's going to go on the mug. I want to press on it a little bit, so that I have a little bit of bevel here and I have a little bit of bevel there. And then right in the middle where I'm going to press this on, I don't want there to be a hollow. I don't want to trap air there because that could pop this handle off. So after I prepare the mug to take the handle, then I can put this on it. I'm just going to put this aside for now. And I have to prepare the mug. I've got some slip here, which is some just real watery clay, and a toothbrush, and we're going to score the mug with the toothbrush. Scoring is just scratching the surface, introducing some water so that we can marry together the dry clay and the wet clay. Okay. I'll put that aside. I'm going to pull this handle a little bit. Now to pull a handle, we're going to use our hand as an extruder. So I'm going to wet the clay. I'm going to wet my hand, and I'm just going to kind of extrude the handle through my hand, flatten it a little bit. Not to where it's too thin, and then before I get it too thin, I'm going to adhere it onto the mug. Can you see that, Roy?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to push this on.
If you just take a second to move the bucket out of the way.
Yes. I'll push that on, and now's the time for me to make sure that this handle really adheres to the wall of the mug. So I'm smoothing out all the sides real well. Okay, and once it's on, then I can continue pulling the handle. So I need to make it a little bit thinner. I'm going to pull the bucket back up here, wet my hands. Now my hands aren't parallel, so I have to kind of switch them around, and I'm going to use my thumbnail to get some lines in the handle that kind of that mirror some of these throwing lines that are in the mug. I want the handle thickness to be similar to the lip thickness, to have some kind of relationship to thickness there. Okay, and once once I think it's thin enough, I can let gravity help me to get a nice arc here in the handle. Okay, so we put it like that. We'll stick it on there, and I'm going to use my metal rib to help cut that off. You can also use a cheese cutter. Cheese cutters work, knives work, but actually a cheese cutter is probably one of the best tools for that. I want to make sure that I smooth out everything around here. I also want to look at this space right here. If I need to adjust it a little bit, pushing it up or pushing it down a little bit. I mean, just little subtle changes, because you want a nice two-finger handle right there. Okay, the last thing I want to do is to put a thumb stop on it. So, let me dry my hands here. So a thumb stop is just a little ball of clay. And I put a little thumb imprint into it. And it goes right here at the top of the handle. Just adds a little flair to the mug. Okay, there it is.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Yep. And that's it?